Plant and Animal Cell Presentation by Emma Perrotta. Plant Cell Model. The cell wall gives the cell shape and protects it from damage. The cell membrane checks everything that comes in and out of the cell. The nucleus holds the DNA and controls everything that happens in the cell. The nucleus holds small portions of DNA. The amoeplast changes glucose into starch and starch into sugar that the plant can use when it needs. The chloroplasts capture energy from the sunlight and use it to produce energy for the cell. The vacuole contains water and starch for the cell. The rough endoplasmic reticulum does some of the protein production, and it's called rough ER because it is covered in ribosomes. The smooth ER stores some hormones, and it's smooth because it has no ribosomes, but it is actually covered in slippery fats. The mitochondria provides energy for the cell and is otherwise known as the powerhouse of the cell. The ribosomes gives the cell protection. The Golgi bodies collects simple chemicals and turns them into bigger things like protein. And the cytoplasm fills in all the empty space and supports the cell. Animal cell model. The cell membrane checks everything that comes in and out of the cell. The nucleus is where the DNA is stored and is also known as the control center. The mitochondria provides energy for the cell and is otherwise known as the powerhouse. The vacuole contains water and starch for the cell. The ribosomes give the cell protection. The endoplasmic reticulum carries messages from one cell to another using tiny tubes. The Golgi bodies collect simple chemicals and turns them into bigger things, like protein. The cytoplasm supports the cell. Cell membrane. The polar heads like water. In fact, they are surrounded by it. The polar head's job is to help the cell interact with its environment. It also keeps water from getting into the inside layer, because the inside layer does not like water at all. The hydrocarbon tails are made up of carbon and hydrogen atoms. The tails feel everything that goes in and out of the cell. It works like a gate as each object goes through the membrane. The function of a cell. The function of a cell is to make up living organisms and to stay alive and stay healthy. The structure of a cell wall and cell membrane help them do their job because plant cells are square, which helps them fit together like a brick wall. The cell's outside layer also allows certain things to come in and out. Some of the things that come in are nutrients, water, and sunlight to help the cell grow. Animal cells look the same, but they're not exactly the same. They all have different shapes because they don't have cell walls, so they're not as sturdy. The different shapes help each cell get its job done. Comparing an animal cell to our school. The cell membrane is like the doors and windows because that's where everything comes in and out. The nucleus is like Mr. Williams because he controls everything that happens in the school. The mitochondria is like the solar panels because it provides energy for the whole school. The vacuole is like our sinks and water fountains because it stores water that we can drink and for washing our hands. The ribosomes are like the walls because it protects the school from damaging. The endoplasmic reticulum is like the phones because it carries messages to anywhere. The Golgi bodies are like the lunch ladies because they take small foods and turn them into actual meals for us. The cytoplasm is like the air and oxygen because it fills the empty space and supports our lungs. Comparing a plant cell to a house. The cell wall is like the walls because it gives the house shape and protects the family inside it. The cell membrane is like the doors and windows because it checks everything that comes in and out. The nucleus is like the parents because they control everything that happens in the house. The amphiplast is like the kitchen because it turns some food into meals that's protein for the people. The chloroplast is like the power lines because it takes energy and puts it in the house. The vacuole is like the sinks and shower because it provides water for the house. The mitochondria is like the wires in the wall because it gives off energy. The ribosome is like the refrigerator because it stores the protein. The Golgi bodies are like our moms because they get many items of food and turn them into a big meal for the whole family. The cytoplasm is like the oxygen because it fills all the empty space and supports our lungs. Thanks for listening.